And we're back with more exciting adventures of The Incredible Hoax. I am Chris.
I am Martin.
And today, why don't you tell them what the subject of the day is?
Well,
we have a piece of paper. Look, we're doing something serious here. We're going to read them our
well, we did a little study for this one.
Or something.
We've done top movies before.
Right.
Now we're going to do that was the decade of 2010s. Now we're going to do the decade of the 2000s, 2001 to 2010. The best top 10 movies from that decade.
With maybe a few honorable mentions thrown in there.
Why not?
And I have to voice my opinion on this every episode. I don't like the fact that it's 01 to 10. I think when you say the 2000s, it should be 00 to 09. But I know that's not like the way it's supposed to be. But in my brain, the single digits and the double digits should match. And I don't like the fact that the single and double digits don't match. So it should be 2010 to 2019. So it's all double digits. And then you have the same number of a 1 in front. I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
Well, I think the people get it.
I just want them to know.
You're on record.
I need to know that they know.
Yes.
So I'm on record. All right.
Yes, you're on record.
My disclaimer is out of the way. Let's go. We're going 10 up.
10 up, all right.
You don't have to go like crazy in depth because we don't want the show to last 5 hours or anything.
Sure.
So 10. Cool.
For my 10, Wall-E. Pixar movie. A terrific film. Almost a silent film at times. Great sci-fi adventure / romance. It's just an adorable movie. I think it's Pixar's crowning achievement so far, in my opinion. Lot to love about that movie.
My number 10 is Pineapple Express. And if you can, the unedited version or director's cut or whatever they call it.
Ooh, all right.
That's even better. So that movie was hilarious. It had this really good action. It was like a stupid stoner movie, but on the other hand, it had the action was really good. So it was a good, and of course it was the first big oh god, what's his name? Danny McBride, I guess his big breakthrough thing.
Yeah. I was gonna say
for him, that was all the scenes with him are amazing, and I love them so much. With the fight scene in his apartment and all, and then the ending scene where they're at the table having breakfast. I love those scenes so very much. And another special note, back then, when they came in 2008, and downloading movies off the internet, illegally, of course, was not something that was as commonplace as it became soon. But that was one of the first really big movies you could get downloaded, And so for somehow or another, I saw the unedited version first before I even knew there was not an unedited version. So when I saw the edited version that was in theaters, I was like, "What? This is not the movie I saw." So anyway, it was the first movie that really introduced me to the idea that they were a director's cut versus a theatrical cut.
Oh yeah,
it was the first that really got that there was a difference, because there's the scenes are way better in the director's cut. Anyway,
cool.
Side note,
cool.
Sort of a historical marker there for the 2000s. All right. Oh no, at number 9. At
number 9, yes, Ridley Scott's Black Hawk Down. A movie with a huge cast. Talk about an ensemble cast. Great movie. It's a war movie, but it's also there's a thriller element to it as well. The action that's coordinated from Ridley Scott, maybe one of his best movies in terms of action choreography.
Yeah.
And probably one of the more memorable war films of the last 30 years. Just excellent. Ridley Scott at the top of his game.
Yeah, great sound. It's a great sounding movie. It's one of the most complex, probably one of the most complex. It had to be one of the most complex movies to shoot, to actually physically go logistically pull off. It's so many little plot lines and storylines,
right?
And you had the logistics of all these thousands of extras and guns and props and things. Like only a director as badass as Ridley Scott could have pulled that off. I mean,
it was a major achievement.
it was like a logistical feat to pull, and editing. Oh god, it's one of the best edited movies for the same reasons. All right, number 9 for me is Kill Bill. If I had to pick one, that's pick Volume 1, but I'm trying to throw them in together, but I guess we'll say Kill Bill Volume 1 if we're only picking one. One of my favorite Tarantino's movies. As much as I love Tarantino, for some reason I never put him on my list. I don't know why that is. I like him, but when I go to crunch and make a list, somehow he always gets left off.
His movies or him?
His movies, yeah. Well, I guess both. Well, I love the guy. I love him. I see every one of his movies. I always make an effort, and I really like his writing style a lot. I mean, the things we did with like Wounded and Thought on Jane were heavy Tarantino influence, but for some reason, I compiled lists. He always gets left off. So I made a point to make sure he was on here.
Cool.
Kill Bill is that movie. The sequence from what is it? A War of what's the song? War of something or other. Fate and Destiny.
Oh, the Battle of Honor and Humanity.
Something
like that.
That's the song all the way through the Tea Garden fight. That's like as good a stretch of movie as anybody ever made. All right, that's number 9. Kill Bill.
Uma Thurman certainly was underrated for that.
She
should have got awards or nominations for sure.
Golden Globe, I think, but that was bad.
At number 8, Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, one of the great sequels ever made. But the movie works as a standalone adventure of a vigilante who really kind of sacrifices his reputation for the good of a city that he loves. That's the ultimately what happens there. Great story, and you got a Heath Ledger in a legendary performance. The sound in that movie still is one that I use when I'm trying to like set my stereo system and make sure everything sounds great and to kind of test it. So technically and dramatically awesome. One of Nolan's best.
All right, I'll talk about it more in the future. So I'll reserve my thoughts on Dark Knight. Number 8, Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. And that was a surprise movie. We're kind of cheating somewhat here. We filmed this and the audio didn't work. We had to reshoot this. So, and we had an episode where we talked about some like movies that like we liked and that were underrated. And I had mentioned this one before. I liked it when I first saw it, I guess. I thought it was a little boring. And then I caught it later, years later on cable, and I liked it. And I watched it again, and then I watched it again, and I watched it again. And now it's like one of those movies like I adore. It's so like so sad. It's like it has this sense of sadness and inevitability about it. And like the ending, you end up like really feeling sorry for this guy that murdered this other guy. And you feel just as sorry for him as you feel sorry for the guy that got murdered, you know, in a way. It's just tragic. It's kind of a tragedy, but it's also so. But I like movies that have that melancholy sense of, you know, dread or, you know, sadness, kind of a lost time type of a feel. Okay. I like those kind of movies. Anyway, and also if you're a fan of Red Dead 1 or 2, or Red Redemption 1 or 2, not just Red Dead, it's a revolver. Red Dead 1 or 2, that movie heavily inspired those movies, as well as The Proposition, which is another movie you go check out from Australia. So if you take Assassination of Jesse James and The Proposition, and then you go play Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, you'll see a lot of similarities.
Cool. At number 7, my choice, The King's Speech. You had Colin Firth in his best performance, and he's had many good performances, but this one kind of is the top. But there's a great relationship between his character and his speech therapist, if you will, the Jeffrey Rush character. And that's kind of the center of that film. Really a great, unlikely friendship film. And there's the historical drama as well. For me, one of the better historical dramas. Just I love that film. Really speaks to me a lot.
Okay. What's the comment on that?
No, you don't have to. You're
King's Speech, the performance was great.
You're up at 7.
King's Speech, his performance was great. He definitely deserved the Oscar. I think it beat Social Network that year.
It did.
And I always kind of like didn't agree with that at all. But you'll see why in a minute. But good movie, better performance than I feel the movie. I did like the movie. I didn't think it was best picture, but his performance definitely earned. He was great. We're doing number 7. Mine is The Dark Knight, which you just did. The only thing I'll add to that is the interrogation scene between the Joker and the Batman. It's one of my favorite scenes of all time. And it's one of those scenes I just watch, just that scene. I've watched just that scene. I've lost count how many times. Maybe in the hundreds. Like, that's like a perfect scene. That is literally a perfect scene. Like, if you're like, hey, Chris, show me a perfect scene in the movie, that's one of the ones I would show you. It's like the most perfect scene. I can't even begin to describe it. And then the Joker is so true to his nature. And as my favorite line is, when Batman's hitting him and he's like, you have nothing to do with all this strength. You have nothing to threaten me with. You have nothing to do with all this strength. Yeah. It's like the greatest dig of a villain into a protagonist, probably of all time.
Yeah.
He's getting his ass beaten. He's laughing at him, saying, there's nothing you can threaten me with. You have no power over me.
Right.
And it's like the most gutting, amazing thing.
And real lives hang in the balance, and this guy's literally laughing at him as with his efforts to try to save.
And he's
something.
right. He has nothing the Batman can do to him. He has nothing. This is a villain that had removed all stakes from himself.
Right.
He had nothing at all to lose, at all, even his own life. Nothing.
Yeah.
Complete literal anarchy and chaos. Like, and most people kind of talk about it. This guy went to the edges of it. You're beyond the edges. He was it.
Right.
Great shit.
Yeah.
Great shit. Number 6.
At number 6, The Fall from 2006. Tarsem Singh, the director, put forth this film that's kind of half drama, half fantasy. Basically a story of a stuntman who gets injured, and he befriends this girl in a hospital, and she, through this friendship, helps him recover. He's depressed, and he finds a new beginning again through her innocence and her curiosity and her imagination. And it's just an inspiring movie. Love it. It's a little gem. Many people haven't seen it, but if you ever get an opportunity, it's worth the effort. Lee Pace is the lead actor in it, and I think it's his best performance.
And I'm not too familiar with Lee Pace. I know he's the bad guy in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, but people say his name a lot like you're supposed to know it. I honestly don't know what people know him from, I guess.
Well, he was, he played Legos's father in the Hobbit trilogy. That's what he's probably most famous for, is Thranduil, the Elven King.
I pretty much deleted those movies from my brain.
So
that's a whole other show.
But anyway, just try it out.
Yeah, that's sorry.
Number six.
Continue on. Those would not make my top list. Number 6. We ought to do a show, by the way, that is like shows that everybody loves that we don't understand. And we've kind of talked about things like that before.
We've kind of hit on that before, but
and number 1 for me is Harry Potter. I still don't understand. I don't understand that at all. But anyway, keep going. Number 6. I don't know why I would do this. Number 6, Step Brothers. One of my, if not the most favorite comedy of mine of all time. It's definitely on the list. What kind of sense of humor does Chris have? Watch the Step Brothers. That is, to me, is the most perfect humor for me ever. And again, you gotta get the director's cut, unedited version. It's so insane. It's like unhinged, and like a lot of people like criticize. Like I remember it came out, a lot of people didn't like the scene where he was burying his brother, and I heard several people, "Oh, he crossed the line with that." Like, no, that was part of it. That's part of it. Imagine the sheer audacity of just going ahead and burying your brother. Then he comes out, and he thinks he's a zombie. He starts yelling "zombie!" Like this. That's part of the cartoon level insanity we're talking about here. It's amazing freaking movie. It's like a real it's like a cartoon with real actors.
Well, these people never saw the Three Stooges and Marx Brothers.
Step Brothers was like the perfect copy. That's one of those desert island movies. Yeah, you have to take 5 movies on desert island. Step Brothers makes the cut for me. All right,
we're up at number 5, are we? All right, Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. That's my number 5. A movie that for whatever reason, I don't know if it was a lack of marketing, promotion, whatever. The movie should have been a big blockbuster type.
Right.
But anyway, groundbreaking in its kind of like digital backlot shooting,
right,
where minimal sets and that kind of a thing. So there's a technical reason for this movie to be seen, but the story's fun. You know, this aviation hero going after a missing scientist. If you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. It's very much an ode to that golden age of Hollywood of the 1930s. So worth a look.
Good movie. Saw it when it came out. Liked it. I'm not a movie I've revisited a lot. It developed. There's like a cult following of it, and there's also a cult following of bashing it.
Huh.
And like I don't understand the bashing it. You have a lot of people that like hate it now, which I don't really understand because like it's not a movie kind of worthy of hate. I don't get that. So it was groundbreaking, and it's a unique movie. It's an eccentric movie. It is good. You got to really have an affinity for, I think, older movies to really, which you do.
Yeah.
To really, 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 really appreciate it. I mean, I liked it, and I support it. And I'm glad it has a cult following, but I feel like it's underappreciated. And that filmmaker, I always felt bad that filmmaker never really like.
Yeah, I think we missed out on something. I think he had an interesting ideas.
Yeah, there's a whole other show we could have on that. But apparently, he didn't play the Hollywood game very well, and that's kind of like he just didn't do a good job of the hustle, I guess you might say. All right, number 5, right? The Social Network, the movie that should have beat The King's Speech. Anyway, I digress. No, great movie, great script, one of the best scripts of that decade, if not the best script of that decade. Tight movie, excellent movie, great, everything about it's good. No weaknesses at all. Direction, script, acting, the whole bit. The one thing I will say about it is, like, to me, it always played best if you watch it like as a revenge movie. If you think of it as Zuckerberg's revenge on the world, and maybe even that girl, or maybe even just rejection by girls it's themselves. If you watch it like a revenge flick, it's freaking amazing. Like, kind of keep in mind this guy getting revenge. The whole first act or the first opening thing is just him just screaming back into this rejection he's just endured. Which he is an asshole. He kind of asked for it, but he didn't see it that way. So I always try to take movies like Empire Strikes Back. To me, it plays differently if you watch the movie like as a father looking for his son. It has a completely different feel about it if you kind of think of it that way. And then if you take Social Network and watch it like a revenge movie, like it plays completely differently. It plays better to me.
Right.
It's more than if you just watch it as a docudrama. So it always was a revenge movie to me.
Well, I'm a fan of David Fincher, and so I love this movie. It's one of his better movies. Still looking for David Fincher to have that one movie that gets him Best Director. So maybe
he might with Mank. Have you watched Mank?
Not yet.
Okay.
We'll see. All right.
My review of that would not be favorable. I'll just tell you that.
Oh, okay. Oh, so
I didn't like it.
All right.
Did not like me. Number 4.
Hero, the 2002 film, starred Jet Li. Donnie Yen is in it as well, among others. It's kind of poetic action, if you will. Great film. There's a historical kind of drama aspect to the movie as well. A great blending of these things. That's one reason to see it. Obviously, you have an assassin going after an emperor, and he tells kind of a Rashomon style stories. So you don't know which story is true and what is going to be the fate of the assassin and the emperor for that matter. So you're there is the thriller aspect to see where this thing heads, because as you have these two forces coming together. So I love the film for those reasons.
I watched it once, not one I'm very familiar with. I remember liking it, not one I've ever revisited, not really a genre I typically like much. Maybe I never give it another shot, so I don't really have a lot to add. I remember liking it. I remember the ending being unique. And I guess I won't run the ending if nobody's seen it, but if somebody's not seen it. But
beautifully shot, by the way.
Yeah, so I remember that as much as well. So I don't really have a lot to say. I need to revisit it to have more to say. Just kind of like The Fall. That's one that I've never even seen, so I don't have a lot to add to that one. All right, 500 Days of Summer comes in at number 4 for me. 500 Days of Summer, one of the most clever movies of the decade. The director was he wanted to do Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was unfortunate because he was so good with 500 Days of Summer, but then those Spider-Man movies, at least the second Spider-Man movie, sucked so bad. The one with Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, yeah,
it was so bad. The first one was kind of good, but the second one, good God, was it awful. It was the one with Tommy. That sucked. Don't worry about it.
Well, what was it? Jamie Foxx?
Jamie Foxx. Yeah,
was in the sequel. And it wasn't a very good movie. No,
500 Days of Summer was good. It was great. Really clever. Really it was really relatable. Like that. Like I know that guy in that movie. I think is really relatable to me, to a lot of people. I know exactly the ebb and flow of that experience, the high of love and the down of the breakup and all those kind of things, and all of the depression and the good time, the bad time. Very relatable, very uniquely put together. And of course, my favorite sequence is the dance sequence in the middle of it. That's just fantastic.
It was Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the starring role, right?
And Zooey Deschanel. Just a clever movie, so well made, so just liked it all the way around. Just like an envy how well it was, how clever it was. Anyway, go ahead. Number 3.
Number 3.
Oh, unless you want to say something about 500 Days.
Well, I would just concur that it was very clever and kind of a reimagining of kind of a rom-com. It was kind of the anti-rom-com.
Yeah, it was like deeper than that. Like if you tried to take a rom-com but make it deep.
Yeah. I would agree with that. At number 3, for me, There Will Be Blood. I love that film. One of my favorite films. There Will Be Blood.
We'll just leave it at that. We'll save time. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
I have a feeling we might hear about There Will Be Blood in a minute. So we'll save your remarks on that one.
All right.
So that was number 3, right?
It's number 3.
All right. Royal Tenenbaums. Takes 2 great movies to be 1 and 2 for me to make Royal Tenenbaums number 3. That's how much I love Royal Tenenbaums. Royal Tenenbaums is one of my favorite movies of all time. Gene Hackman's performance in that is one of my favorite performances of all time. So much so that he tells his grandkids in the movie, "Call me Pappy," and guess what? I've told my granddaughter to call me Pappy. So yeah, I love that movie. I love everything about that movie. The way it's put together, the how funny it is, how kind of tragedy, romance type thing elements, the quirkiness of it. Gene Hackman's character is like, I relate so very much so to Gene Hackman's character on so many levels. I just love everything about that. It's a movie that would be probably one of those just desert island movies for me for sure. If it's on cable, I cannot not watch it. It's like one of those for me. I love everything about that movie. My favorite thing, one of my favorite things that like nobody ever like gets, is the paintings in Owen Wilson's apartment of the guys on four-wheelers with the masks. And there's like one of the paintings they're beating the guy, the other painting they're just like this. Like, I think those are hilarious, but no one. I've posted them on social media before, but I don't think anybody ever knows what the hell I'm talking about. I love that movie.
That's a great movie. One of Wes Anderson's best films.
Yeah.
And I would say that every time it's one of those movies, this is a mark of a great movie. I like it even more each time I see it.
Yeah.
It's like my appreciation grows every time I see it. So number 2, we ready?
Yeah.
The Passion of the Christ, directed by Mel Gibson. Obviously a film about Christ's final hours before being crucified, and kind of dramatic that it is, emotional, even with the flashbacks. It just seems like it's almost pitch perfect and how it relates the emotion of his last hours and the agony that's there, and just the tragedy that's there, but also the triumph. So love it.
Liked it. I liked it when it came out. I've revisited it once. I watched it once since it came out, and I liked it again. For some reason, I don't know why, I never really put it in any kind of like a film. I don't know. To me, like, as much as I like it, I don't ever like rate it as a film, because it feels like an experience in a way, not so much like a plot movie. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like this is gonna sound horrible. It's almost like a ride. Like you're experience. It's like you're experiencing like IMAX movies, or how they used to be. IMAX movies, you go see an IMAX movie, it's like an experience, and you would go through and like see these sea caves or something, you know. Right. Well, like that's how I feel about Passion of the Christ. Like I'm going on this journey of Christ's steps all the way through the process. So it's like not like a 3-act type movie in a way. It is, but it didn't play that way to me. So it's almost like not a movie and more like an experience. Does this make any sense at all?
Well, I mean, if that's how you feel, I mean, you're just being honest about how you feel.
But it's great. I mean, I'm not saying it's not great. It is great. It's just it doesn't like it's hard for me to put it on a movie list. For me.
Yeah. Well, not for me at all. Like, but I think I know what you mean.
U2 3D was an IMAX movie. It's one of their concerts. Like yeah, like I think it came out in this. Maybe I can't remember if it came out in this decade or the teens. Maybe it was the teens. Whenever it came out, like technically, I would be like number 1 because I freaking loved that damn thing. But it's like an experience. It was a concert. Yeah, it was an IMAX movie, but it was like an experience, not a movie. So I feel that way about Passion of the Christ. Like it was like an experience. Very weird. I don't know. I don't even know what my brain's thinking sometimes. And that's one of those. I don't know. That's how I view it. But I like it. It's a good movie. Number 2. Again, this is another one. Like it takes a great movie to make this one number 2. So my top 3 of this decade are all timers for sure. No Country for Old Men. Spellbinding. Can't get enough of it. Plays just as fresh today as it did when it came out. One of those movies that when it stopped, I literally couldn't stop watching it. And I mean, like to pee, to get a drink, like I was like so like I couldn't like move. I was just so into it, and the ending takes it to another level. And a lot of people like don't like the ending or that long. I don't know what you're talking about. The ending's freaking great. Like it's a great movie. It's a great by the numbers, you know, crime movie. But then the ending is like some other. It goes to another level, some ethereal level that's beyond. It's just fantastic. It's like all of a sudden you're watching this crime movie, but the ending is like Apocalypse Now or something. You know, it's like surreal. You know, it's kind of like it's like such a surreal ending. And then Anton Chigurh, you can't talk about No Country for Old Men without talking about Anton Chigurh. And if not the best villain of the decade, he's definitely the most original villain of the decade. Him and the Joker would probably have to duke it out for the best villain of the decade. Heath Ledger Joker.
Yeah.
All right, number 2 for you. Or I'm sorry, No Country for Old Men. If you want to talk about that.
Well, you've always loved it more than me. It's a good movie. I thought it, in many ways, reminds me of that film Appaloosa, which both movies I felt good, but the second half of the film kind of veered off into territories that I didn't think was a good fit for the first half. So for me, I guess both films, and No Country for Old Men, I would include with Appaloosa, is just kind of uneven, two kind of not conflicting ideas, but two different ideas kind of thrown together in one story. And you liked the mesh there. I didn't enjoy it as much, but I still think it's a good movie overall.
Right.
Number one, we ready?
Yeah.
Well, my number one, and as it so happens, I have the shirt for you Lord of the Rings fans.
Oh yeah,
Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson. That trilogy is my number one. Of course, it's my number one film of all time, so it stands to reason. Number one film of the 2000s would also be Lord of the Rings trilogy. This is so popular. We've just talked about on this show. What else can you say? It's Peter Jackson's magnum opus, his masterpiece, a technical feat like no other, great performances. How are you going to have a movie that big and then you still care about that small relationship between Frodo and Sam, for example? You care.
Right.
So when Sam in that third film says, I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you, you give a damn.
Right.
So it's things like that is why that film is great. Because everything works. The small stuff, the big stuff, great stuff. And then, of course, this is a reference to one at the end there in the Shire where Sam meets Rosie. So this is
Bywater
Hobbiton. So for you Lord of the Rings fans, you may have already spotted that earlier. So anyway, just for the show, I made sure I had a Lord of the Rings reference for you.
I love them. I got we were talking about. I got the 4K set of them with the theatrical and the extended editions. I love them a lot. I don't think I ever loved them as much as everybody else, but I did like them a whole lot. I was as eager to see them. I think I was like an opening day watcher of at least the second two. I don't know if I saw the first one opening day. I'm pretty sure 2 and 3 I saw opening day. They were great. They got all the accolades they deserved. The first one caught me surprised that it got acclaimed as much as it did. I think the first one was nominated for Best Picture, and I was like, well, I liked it, but Best Picture, okay, it seems like a lot, but okay. And then 2 and then 3 got nominated too. I was like, whoa, well, seems like a lot, but okay. So I don't know why. To me, it seems like whenever I say this, I feel like it comes up I don't like them. I like them. It felt like the Best Picture stuff was kind of like, I don't know that I got that. But anyway, they're good. I don't know what I'm saying. They're really good. I don't know why I talk about that kind of shit. I could just praise the movie. I like it a lot. Especially liked the what's his name? Viggo Mortensen stuff. I liked all the Gandalf stuff, all the orc stuff. The journey with the ring sometimes got a little
drug out.
Especially the third one. It's like, oh my God, that has to be like the tallest mountain in the universe because it's taken forever to get up this goddamn mountain. And it was just like, it felt like he drug it out on purpose. And he did that with the Hobbit movies. Like he drug out shit on purpose to make it 3 movies, you know? And did the Hobbit make your top 10 of the next decade?
Of the O10s?
Yeah, the teens.
It did not make the top 10.
All right.
No.
I was just curious.
It was an honorable mention.
Honorable mention.
Yeah.
But anyway, like it, love it. Great. All good. And the effects. Okay, I'll let it on a high note.
Okay.
I remember, I'm pretty sure it was in the Two Towers. Did we see it together?
I think so. I think I know where you're going with this.
And there's a shot where like the big troll pushes the thing and opens the giant door.
Yeah. It's the gates of Mordor.
Yeah.
And that troll, that's what you're talking about, where the troll pushes.
And I remember when I saw that scene, I was like, and I think we even looked at each other, and I was like, oh my God, we can finally do cool stuff with movies now.
Yeah.
We can do all the stuff that you and I as a kid talked about we wanted to see in movies. That was the moment I realized, oh crap, we can do them all now.
That particular, and I mean, it holds up great because I just watched it 2 months ago, Lord of the Rings, and that shot still holds up great because everything is just like the perfect aspect ratio or proportion for the different characters. You got, the sentry on the wall, but then you got the big troll. I mean, it was just everything was perfectly aligned. Yeah,
right. Great movie. That was like when that scene happened. That was like the moment I realized, oh crap, with CGI we can do all the stuff that I've wanted to see movies do since we were kids.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool, we have arrived. And that was like, if you had to pick one of the three. If somebody said, "Hey, man, you got to pick one. You got to pick one to go on the list." Which one do you pick?
Well, for me, it's easy. I'd say Return of the King, and not for the reasons that people might think. The reason I would pick Return of the King is the opening. I've always been fascinated with the background story of Gollum.
Okay,
and so it opens with the fall of Smeagol, basically, and how he becomes Gollum. And I'm fascinated by that. Smeagol. How someone who was just a, decent guy, and he's so corrupted by this evil ring. So it fascinates me for some reason. So I would Return of the King, if I have to pick one, by leaps and bounds would be number one of the three.
I'd pick the Two Towers just because I like the big battle thing.
Yeah, the Helm's Deep.
Helm's Deep.
Yeah,
that's like my favorite.
That's like the Alamo sequence.
Yeah, that's my favorite sequence of the trilogy is the Helm's Deep stuff. The Helm's Deep stuff I ate up. Like when that movie came out, I was like, "This is what I want to see. This is what I want to see." And like when the video game came out, I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." Like I couldn't believe that enough. Like that was like I was all over that.
Yeah,
like that was like.
All that sequence, like again, I watched it 2 months ago, and all that stuff still holds up great.
It's like a great sequence, like the way it builds up, the sound of the rain, and the orcs kind of growling, and the smoke from their mouths, and I think there's like one arrow cuts loose from like one of the humans, actually, right?
Yeah.
And it just all goes to shit from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The human one arrow, just that's it. It's on.
It's great. On. Yeah.
My number one, which I told you to hold on to your thought of, is There Will Be Blood. This is this is a top tenner for my list of all time, so it only begs to only stands to reason that it's on my top 10 of the 2000s. Best performance of the decade, one of the best performances of all time. Some of the best direction ever. The music is amazing. The cinematography is perfect. The story is unique, and I can't compare it to much of another movie. Maybe you want to say like Citizen Kane with a rise and fall, where the doom is a success, success is his failure type of a thing. I guess you can compare it to Citizen Kane in that respect, but it's like
and like Giant,
the
whole
what runs them is the success.
Yeah.
Like the Dark Knight Rises. Success has defeated you, or victory has defeated you. Because he's beating the hell out of me.
Yeah.
It's an exciting movie to me. Like the sequence, my favorite sequence of the movie is when they go and they survey and they map out the pipeline to the coast. And it's got that music, that really driving music. And there's a sequence where they keep hammering in the stakes, and it ends with him driving the stake into the table at the oil company.
Yeah.
And there's just so many sequences that are just so good. And the ending, the last 20 minutes of the movie at the bowling alley in the mansion is again, hey, show me a perfect scene, Chris. That's one of the ones I'm giving you. That's like the interrogation scene of The Dark Knight. I've probably watched that one to a countless amount of times. The ending of There Will Be Blood is hands down. I mean, I don't have words for how much I love that scene. I mean, the whole sequence and the drink your milkshake, and even the performance by the Paul Dano. Name? Yeah,
Paul Dano. Yeah,
yeah. Even his acting is really good. But yeah, that whole scene is like so perfect. I envy that scene so much. Like, good God, I wish I could have wrote that scene. like that's like the greatest. That's like one of my top 5 greatest scenes of all time. Is that the ending? It lasts 20 minutes in the bowling alley.
Yeah,
I guess it's 20 minutes if they were timed it, but I think it's roughly 20 minutes. It's so perfect. It's beyond perfect. It's like that's art. You take that scene and just put it on a wall, man. That's like one of the greatest things of all. It's like one of the greatest things of all time.
Yeah,
is the ending of There Will Be Blood. Love that movie. I love it more and more as time goes up. So like, I used to like No Country for Old Men better, but as time has gone on, There Will Be Blood went above it, and it just goes like this. And I think eventually, some point in my life, I'll call There Will Be Blood like a top 5 movie. Probably eventually. I could see that like 10 years from now going, man, There Will Be Blood is like my 3rd favorite movie of all time or something. I love that movie so much. It's perfect. It's literally perfect.
It's a great movie. In fact, I would say I'm pretty sure it's on my top 20. There Will Be Blood. You have the great performance, Daniel Day-Lewis, and probably what is the single greatest performance I've ever seen on film. And then Paul Thomas Anderson writing and directing this masterpiece of a movie. It's a tragedy in so many aspects. As he's rising, you're watching with fascination, and then when he's falling, you're watching. You can't look away. You're hoping he'll make different decisions every time, and there's a Battle Will story in there with him and the preacher, the Paul Dano character.
Yeah.
Just great drama. It's unique in its way. I think you can kind of say, well, there's a Citizen Kane influence, the giant film, the George Stevens film, that James Dean character. You could say that kind of could remind you of There Will Be Blood.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just a lot to love about that movie. Just hard hitting. I think the first 15 minutes, there's like no dialogue. It's just him. It opens almost like a silent film with him digging in his silver mine, and then it transitions into him going into being an oil man. But if it's a movie that's fiction, but you'd swear it was like an autobiography film. Yeah, it's that good. You would swear that this guy's real.
Yeah, it's like and Daniel Day-Lewis won the best actor and rightfully so, and all these awards, and it's like one of the greatest forms of all time. It's a completely fictionalized character.
Yeah,
he couldn't. There's no one to base it on.
No,
and of course, John Huston. They say the voice kind of was his. Took John Huston and kind of took it from there.
Yeah,
kind of took that voice.
Yeah, I heard that.
But anyway, it's like he didn't have like a real historical figure to like copy or emulate,
right?
And no disrespect to Ray, when Jamie Foxx did Ray. I mean, he could just kind of copy Ray Charles. Well, there was no way to copy for There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
Sean Penn for Milk. He had a guy who could go and watch his films and copy that guy. Well, there was nobody for those copies. So it's very unique. It completely came from the page in his head.
Yeah, he brought his talent, his art, if you will, of course, along with the script, obviously.
Right, it's definitely like a creation.
Yeah,
complete creation.
So between those two men right there,
you'd swear it's like a biography of a guy.
Yeah,
but it's not.
You'd swear this was a real person.
Okay, some honorable mentions to throw out there. You got a few? I got a couple.
Sure, I got some.
Honorable mentions: Napoleon Dynamite. That was one of the movies of the decade for pop culture. It still is meme worthy to this day. I love it. It's so unique and quirky and fun. And one of my favorite endings ever. I love the ending of that movie so much. And then Fog of War was a documentary. that was about the Secretary of Defense under Kennedy. And just go watch that movie. It's a great movie. And then I looked it up while we were talking. U2 3D did come out in the 2000s. It was an IMAX experience. And like I said, Passion of Christ reminds me of experience. The U2 3D definitely was an experience movie. I'll throw that out there as an honorable mention. But you can't see it because it was IMAX only and they won't release it. Because they said it was ready for IMAX, period. Until the home format can match IMAX, they won't release it. So if you missed it, you missed it.
Yeah.
Bummer.
It is a bummer. Okay, my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Into the Wild. Sean Penn directed this autobiography about a man who, well, let's just say he wanted to get away from it.
Right.
It's a tragic story, but it's great. Very well done. Very sensitively handled. The Road.
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen stars in this movie.
That's one I consider too.
That is a great movie, isn't it? Kind of one of those end of the world post-apocalyptic movies.
Yeah.
But done in a dramatic way.
Yeah.
Worth checking out. The Hurt Locker, great war movie. Really. It's just I think I watched it 4 months ago. It held up really great. I thought it doesn't get talked about a lot now. I don't think, but it really is a classic. For people that like war movies, it's great. But it's a thoughtful movie.
I never thought the second half was as strong as the first half, and it kind of ends. You know what I mean? It just kind of ends.
Well, I didn't find that to be true.
I
loved it because his tour ended, and it shows him.
As the guy that like wants to get out of it, right? And they end up just having to let him blow up. Isn't that right? Is that the
yeah. That's one of the sequences. Yeah, they don't have enough time to get the lock.
He has to just blow up.
Yeah, without having a choice.
Yeah, right.
But then after that, his tour's over. He goes home, and this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Is him actually in a grocery store, and he's just like so out of place, and
he didn't belong there
in the suburbs, you know. And so, of course, the next scene, he's cue the heavy metal music, and he's right back into it again. So I love that ending, actually.
Yeah.
And Little Miss Sunshine. There's another great movie to check out.
What was this? There's someone going to comment on. What was your list there? There's something I was going to mention about one of those.
Okay.
Oh, I know what it was. Yeah. So yeah, you got Into the Wild and The Road, and then I had mentioned Assassination of Jesse James. But those have that melancholy sadness about them that kind of lingers over the whole movie. There's a sadness. I like those kind of movies that kind of like there's a sadness, that despair that hangs through the whole movie to an inevitable fate, if you will. And Into the Wild is a movie I really liked. Well, I wouldn't put it on a list, but I liked it a lot. The Hal Holbrook sequence was definitely like my favorite sequence of the movie.
Yeah, that's
a
heartbreaking. Yeah,
and I'm a really big fan of Kristen Stewart. Like, she gets a bad rap, in my opinion. I really like her a lot. Twilight Girl. Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
Like, I watch all her movies because I think I like her a lot, and that's one of her early roles. And she's really, really good at it. Yeah, so check it out. She gets a bad rap, in my opinion.
Well, that movie Still Alice. I mean, Julianne Moore, of course, with the lead role was great.
Yeah,
but the supporting role, she was the daughter character, and she was, I thought, really strong in that movie. So just a reminder that she is very much the talent you saw in those early films, like Into the Wild.
Yeah, I watched the whole story, I guess, Underappreciated Actors.
So,
I watched Underwater that she made, and she's like really good at it. And then like Charlie's Angels was not the best movie in the world, but she's like the best thing in it. So So if you want to see a early Kristen Stewart, I'm kind of a Kristen Stewart fan. I know that's weird, but I really dig her a lot.
Well, no, she's talented. I
dig her a lot. Like, if I was making movies, if I was making movies in Hollywood, that she'd be on my list. I dig that. She gets it. She's going to win an Oscar one day. I don't know when, but it's going to happen.
Well, I I always, I don't know why I forget, but I always forget she's in that movie Sathura,
Yeah.
which is that kind of Jumanji like
Yeah.
sci-fi thing. But she's like the older sister. I always forget that she's in that movie. But
if I was doing some heavy movie,
terrific.
if I was doing some heavy movie that needed a female lead to do like a female apocalypse now or something, like some heavy shit, like I'd cast her in a heartbeat for it, man. In a heartbeut. It wouldn't even have to
well,
think
she has
about
the talent for it. So yeah,
I don't know how we got turned this into a Kristen Stewart show, but
yeah, I mean, I that's fine. I mean, I appreciate her talent. Absolutely.
just a bad rap. Anyway, Into the Wild. She's in that, and it's a good movie anyway. And the William Hurt scene where he staggers out in the street. He's so full of despair.
Oh yeah,
kid. Oh, God,
yeah. And the camera kind of.
That's key. That scene. That's hard for me to watch. Being a parent, that's like one of the hardest scenes ever to watch. I can't hardly even look at that scene. It's so I get it. I get exactly what's going on in that scene, and I can't even hardly take it. That movie,
real despair.
Sean Penn nailed that movie, man. Big time nailed that movie. I gotta watch it again now.
Yeah, it's in my top 100, by the way. I love that film.
That's a good call, man.
It really speaks to me, but also it's just really well done.
I also got Zach Galifianakis before he became really big is in it too. That's another thing to watch for.
Zach Gala.
Yeah, he's one of the guys on the farm with
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, he's in there somewhere.
I remember Vince Vaughn, man, but I remember Zach being in there.
In it.
Oh wow,
go check that out. Yeah, a lot of good actors are kind of dropped in it throughout it. And Albert Holbrook who just died.
And it's actually one of his most touching.
Yeah, he got nominated for a sporting.
Yeah, rightly so. He's just terrific.
Yeah, that's our best of the 2000s with a bunch of extra stuff thrown in for you.
Yeah. Well, next time we meet on this, it'll be what, in the 90s.
Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one. That's gonna be a tough one.
That'll be a tough one.
You know what was missing?
The 80s one will be the toughest, I think.
Final observation. You know what's missing from both of our lists? Think about it. Think what's missing. Something really huge is missing.
Well, no Harry Potter, so I'm sure.
Well, that's true. That is true. That's what I'm thinking of. Another famous series was in
the 2000s.
And that we're obviously a fan of.
Oh, we didn't talk about the prequels, did we?
The prequels don't make the list. Isn't that very telling? It's very telling that the prequels did not make the lists.
Yeah.
Didn't even bring them up.
No.
Ouch.
No.
Sorry about that, Lucas.
Nah.
Sorry, buddy. We'll catch you in the 80s, though. We got you in the 80s. Got you in the 70s, too.
Yeah, 78.
70s, 80s, we got you.
We got your back, man.
2000s. Sorry about that. All right. Speaking of being ashamed, I do.